Hello, I'm the Woodwardian 1, and this is episode 4 of the Updating World series. It's going to be short, but it's also quite important because I will be leaving this alpha area. Now, in between episodes, I've done several things to make sure that this area is sort of up to code for me leaving it. I'm not going to leave it permanently, like I can come back here, but for now, this area is complete. I've done several things like in between the last episode and this one just to make sure that it's complete. I'm gonna go show you now. I cleared all the chests from this area. I moved all the netherrack to these chests, all the netherrack from the nether hub and its tunnels. And I've put all of the items from the construction back where they need to be. So all in these chests and all the way across there. I also became aware of a couple of things by reading the discontinued features wiki in between these episodes, and two of them were very important, and I'm glad I've managed to catch them before I updated to beta. If you notice, I have 5 eggs in my inventory. However, that's not all the eggs I have. I have 64 in here. Now, that would seem a bit strange, but since they don't have a use in Alpha 1.2.6, they're all stacked to 64. So, assuming I update correctly, this should remain unchanged, and I have an overstacked item. And that is kind of one of the important aspects of this little series here. You can see the other one over there, I'll pop down there. So this is it, Alpha 1.2.6, levers on a chest. And by placing glass on all of these side blocks here, and then placing a lever against it, you can have the lever attach itself to the chest. There's a future beta version where if I did that, it would produce a weird block where the cobblestone texture is actually in the middle of this with the lever there, with the stick part of it. But since I've done it in this version, that should be perfectly fine even when chests get resized later on. Now, I've upped the render distance here just to show you the whole of the alpha base, not necessarily the complete opposite way there, that the wheat farm is blocked. And I've done this just so, as I update through the next 3 versions, you will be able to see the changes, and one of them is going to be very apparent. Here I am in beta 1.0.2, a basically irrelevant version, other than one feature. Here I am in beta 1.1_02. Again, virtually no difference. Just a bit less laggy than the last version. I'm guessing that was an issue with leaf decay, which was reintroduced, but was also rewritten in this version, and seems to have made it a bit more stable, I guess. So that's good. I mean, I'm not going to use the tree farm really, because it'll be pointless too. But yeah, let's go to the next update. And finally, this is the big one, beta 1.2. I will load the final and more stable version of this update, eventually. But for now, I'm just going to run this version, see how it runs. If it's too laggy, I'll load the full version, but let's not hesitate. You notice it yet? All the trees now have a different type of leaf on them. Now, it's a bit laggy, but I'm guessing that's a chunk loading problem. But as I walk through, you can see every tree has its leaves altered in some way, shape or form. And this was important in this area of the world because without leaf decay, these trees have managed to create just a massive block of leaves, since they can spawn like 4 different variants in height. That is, if they're blocked by a slab, otherwise they can grow massive and they're annoying to chop down. But yeah, that's kind of the end of one singular type of tree. Can't get saplings from them, but this is the point in the series where I move to a different location. Now I mentioned in the world tour that last time I did an updating world. I didn't really explore, and that is true. I did not move house, but in this one I'd like to. I'm gonna drop all of my stuff in here. Oh, by the way, tooltips. And I'm only allowed to take one thing, and that is this diamond hoe. I've had it since InfDev, and I just haven't really used it. But I want to carry it to all the versions because I think it'd be pretty neat to have a tool from InfDev that I brought all the way up and then enchanted. So, provided that I don't die and lose it on the way to where I'm going to establish this new base, this will stay with me forever. Now I'm here because I'm going to go explore the other versions or other areas of my world from different versions to see how the trees have been affected. Because in some there might not have been. I think it entirely depends on the version you started your world in. So if I go through here to InfDev land, it's been a long time since I've been here. Yep, the tree farm leaves have all changed. It's quite striking as well when you've got like these ones, like these really dark green spruce leaves, and then these ones that are affected by biome tinting. And I really should have thought about this. These have all decayed. Yeah, I really should have thought about that one. Well, I can replace these at some other time. And these ones have also been like pushed off. However, I think I might be able to re-add these. I'm not sure. Let me just turn my graphics to fast. Well, all hope is not lost. That fixed it. And now to check spawn. Looks about the same as it normally does, just with a bit of, leaf change. Now, the plan is pretty simple, but also a bit complicated from this point onwards. For a new base, I'm looking for a few things. I'm looking for it to be, firstly, a bit quite flat, so I don't really have to do much mining. Two, to have a good amount of biomes around it, so I'm close to the new wood types. 3, for it not to be snowy, just so I don't have to clear snow out when rain gets added in a few updates time. And for it to be quite full of trees, just because I want to have enough to start a decent tree farm. And to find this new area, I'm going to travel in the southwest direction, purely because this is the last chance I have to make a base in an area where there is a whole bunch of ores, because of the higher ore density in the southwest areas of the map. That lasts until beta 1.6, so I'm going to take advantage of it now. And I'm going to speed this up until I find a decent area. I might cut in when I find one of the new trees, but once I've decided on an area, I'll see you then. And I'm back in what is a pretty good location, to be honest. Good amount of trees, got the new trees as well. Tiny bit of water, mostly flat. This hill here, but that's kind of unrealistic to expect none of these because this is alpha terrain after all. Actually, alpha slash beta terrain. Now, the plan for this area. It's going to be quite extensive, but it's also going to be a bit amazing. What I plan on doing is measuring 128 blocks from this from this little starting point here, all the way around, digging a one wide trench on each edge, all the way down to bedrock and flooding it with water, then exploring all the caves in the vicinity and spawn proofing them before I make a hostile mob farm at the bottom of the world where they'll be lifted up through a water elevator, and they'll be separated out so that I can have them drop onto a platform and die, dropping their respective mob drops. And I'll do the same with a passive mob farm in the sky, while also having not just your typical mobs like pigs, cows, sheep, but also squid farms in the corners, having them drop all the way to the bottom and collecting their ink sacs. And then once I've figured that out, I'm going to build on top of those little trenches castle walls with a sort of castle build as my main base in the middle of this, with a few essential farms gathering all the way around the closer by edge, and then extra stuff on the outside of the walls. Very similar to the old Roman Republican walls, the Servian walls, which were surrounded by the main suburbs of Rome during the Antiquity period. I am an archaeology student, so I'm probably just buzzworded a bunch of terms there. And the main point or main reason I'm doing this is the lack of functionality in my alpha base. It looked nice but lacked functionality. I want to do both of those things in this base because it's a beta base. I can explore all the old features, and it's probably going to be quite extensive, which is why I need a lot of space, because there's also going to be a lot of unobtainables in this particular portion of this series. And this base will last from this version here, beta 1.2, to beta 1.7.3. Now I'm going to have to get started with marking out the corners, from this block, 128 blocks corners, as well, and then I'm going to dig down all of the dirt, surrounding the area, or at least all the dirt that I can dig out. And that's going to be the end of this episode. It should be a short one, but I've filled the time with explanations. So, let's begin. I've been busy, and I think this is where I'm gonna call it for this one, because, well, I listed everything I intend on doing this area earlier, and frankly, that's not gonna happen in one episode, because that is, like, a lot of grinding, and just a lot of time that I can't put into one episode, or it won't come out for another month like the last two. But I've made some good progress. As far as I know, there is no water on the surface, like, in this area at all. You can tell by over there, there's like an entire like area over there, like just full of sand. Same goes to there. I've also dug out a trench, which like isn't like easily noticed, but it's in between there, and I've dug out the dirt layer of that. But on each side, I still need to dig out all the way down to bedrock. Still a lot of work needs to be done. I need to get all rid of the trees, get rid of all the like grass. However, I'm contemplating, like, once I've got a passive mob farm started, actually turning all of what used to be grass here into green wool, because I realised that the inside area of the castle walls, like all this area here, like when I get to beta 1.6, I will never be able to actually put any like grass in there other than on the passive mob spawning platform, and that's not exactly great. So I was considering getting like green wool to put to place down here. And I had the cactus farm there, so assuming I made a proper one of those, I'd be able to have enough green dye for that, but that would require about 66,000, which would be a long time, so I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. All the trees need to go still. By doing all of this, I haven't actually reused any of the sand that I've gotten from over these areas. If I ran out of sand, I went back and got another inventory full from the desert over there, and filled all the water, went back, went over that one, went over that small one over there, did all the little water pools that you see around here. The only water that should exist now on the surface is that for my sugarcane needs. But I've got a little base here. Nothing really in these chests yet, but I'm starting my sand collection in here. I'm going to have a lot of it when I take down all the sand from everywhere around here. Got a lot of dirt from the digging, and then just general stuff. There's the diamond hoe. Like a bunch of cobblestone, which I'm going to need for chopping down all the trees. Got a bit of iron just by passively mining past it. Bit of coal. Good amount of sugarcane as well. Only one pumpkin, which interestingly has its texture rotated. So I hope that gets fixed soon, because that just looks odd to wear. Like, what is this? Still renders normal this way though. Doesn't completely block my vision. I have this pillar here marking the centre still. Used to be made out of planks, now it's made out of lime wool. So, that part was a bit more grindy than I thought. And the next part is definitely going to be a whole lot more grindy. So I'm going to cut this episode now and edit it tonight and maybe release it tomorrow. One thing I want to do is stream this and get it done a lot quicker, because that's something I'm kind of interested in doing. So let me know if you'd enjoy that as well. This one is coming out a few days later than I expected, but it was my birthday a few days ago, so I was back home for that. And this is the end. Yeah, see you later.